With Dominaria United coming up in September, it's time to look at some of those reserve list cards from Legends that you should be watching. It's time to talk about these lost legends from 1994 coming into Dominaria United. Welcome back, everyone. MTG Moxman here, and thanks a lot for hanging out with me on the channel today. This is actually vacation mode MTG Moxman as I film this at a different location over the holidays here with the family, and I'm here in the morning recording it because this is important to talk about. When people review and look at reserve list cards, knowing that there's a whole smattering of cards coming back into play and entering the secondary market at some point soon is something to discuss, but it's nothing to be concerned about. If anything, having all these cards reintroduced may invigorate the reserve list to new degrees we haven't seen for a while as players become exposed to cards they've never seen before. Imagine if you're a player who's only started playing since Midnight Hunt and you get a Tabernacle at Pendlevale and you get a Gravity Sphere, you get a Moat. You don't know what these cards are. You've never even looked at you've heard the reserve list, you've heard tales of Moxes and stuff, but you've never looked at it. And now you have a card worth hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. On the other hand, you might just get a Kobold and say, there's a 0 casting cost 0/1 red creature? That's crazy. Either way, it gets the conversation started about what people could be looking at. And that leads to more people looking at the reserve list. Remember, I used to joke saying this is a giant ocean of reserve list cards, but the near mint cards are harder and harder to find. The values of these cards are down right now, but if a lot of people started looking, the market would dry up almost overnight. It would only take a large segment of the population of Magic, a day? To make the cards just become obsolete, bought out, and gone forever. People just don't do it, thank goodness. Now, when we're looking at these cards today, when I'm showing you cards you should be paying attention to, although these cards are coming back from reserve list, they're being reprinted, but they're still reserve list. And when people start noticing what some of these cards can do, they can find funky ways, janky ways of playing with them and having a good time, and a lot of the prices are lower than normal right now. So we may see a rebounding effect later on. So let's enjoy ourselves. Let's get to the video and let's see which cards we're talking about today on Card Watch Reserve List Edition. Can't wait to see your comments in the comment section. Our first card is Bartell Runes from Legends. This card can be had for around $60 US for a near mint copy. Remember, with people ignoring the reserve list, you don't know where cards like this are going to go. He has been as high as $200 before. That's for like a BGS rated copies. Collectors themselves will only go for near mint ones. So if you're buying cards like this and you actually just want to buy it to hold on to and add to a binder to look at, you might as well spend the $60, get the near mint copy and call it a day. By today's standards, he's not a very powerful card. 1 black mana, 1 red, 1 green, and 3 generic for a 6/5 that doesn't tap when attacking, early form of vigilance, and he can't be the target of enchant creature spells. For back in the day, totally an epic card. By today's standards, he's going to get crushed by everything. So just keep it in mind, he may not be the card for you, but he may be the card for a collector. So when you're looking at cards like this, decide if you're actually going to play with it or if you're going to collect it to hold on to for a very long period of time. Not every reserve list card is for everyone. Now our next card is Jock Levert. You're getting a little more out of him than you did with Bartell Runes. When we look at Jock Levert closer, he's a $55 near mint card to buy. But I look at him, he's a 3/2 for 4 mana. 1 red, 1 green, 1 white, and 1 generic. But look at that little bonus ability. All your green creatures gain +0/+2. So he's a 3/4. Imagine a little elven army of 1/1s are now 1/3s. Creatures that are 2/2 are now 2/4. They have more absorption, more power on the defensive. This is a great card. He does fit into stuff. I am building a commander deck with the copy I have, although mine's Italian, not English. I'm still happy I at least own 1 copy of Jacques because he's a great card to have around. Now our next card is Lady Evangelina. I did not see her opened back in the day. I never ran across this card as a teenager. I think I was in my early 20s when I saw this card come around, and I was probably living in Toronto at the time. When you take a closer look, 1 white, 1 blue, 1 black, okay? And it says 1 black, 1 white, and tap. Target creature does no damage during combat this turn. Imagine just eliminating a creature and saying, no damage for you. This card used to be 150 bucks. You can get it for $80. It's got the rainbow going there. This card can still have a good game effect right now. Imagine you're in a commander game and somebody's about to be eliminated and you pump this bad boy out, tap that creature, have it deal no damage. That's a fun thing. Talk about making friends in a game that's highly casual and enjoyable. I love a card like this. So our next card is going to be Livona Salone. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. Guys, I'm on vacation. You know what it's like. Let me just take a big drag out of the coffee and take a sip. There we go. All right. I know, the big sigh. And we look at this card and you realize this one is a little bit different. This card has not gone down as much as others. It's kind of bouncing around because it was kind of low to begin with. She actually has game effects. I'm lucky I bought my copy. I paid $90 US for mine. But I look at this card and go, sure, it costs 6. 2 red, 2 green, 2 other. But legendary land walk. Think of all the legendary lands in the game. And the fact she can walk through all of them means she can probably affect every other commander player you're playing with. She can do crazy stuff that people don't realize. So you can't underestimate cards like this because you don't know where they're going to go. But you do know that she's going to have an impact and she will have to be dealt with in the game. Small price to pay. All right, our next card, Tetsuo, defeated good old amazing Nicobolas back in the day. Now, Tetsuo has gone up in price, hasn't dropped nearly as much, but could be slated to go so much higher when you start paying attention to the prices that it's probably underrated as it is. A closer look, 3 for a 3/3, very vanilla by power standards today, but amazing for back in the day. 2 black, 1 blue, 1 red. Destroy target tapped creature or target blocking creature. Tetsuo may not be the target of an enchant creature spell. So same as Bartell Runes. This card, not bad. We have a lot of cards now that don't tap to destroy attacking or blocking creatures. Wizards wants you to use totally separate spells for that. So cards that pack multiple abilities into one punching bag make it so much more economical and feasible to build into your deck. So keep that kind of stuff in mind. Wizards is not building cards like this anymore. Now our next card is Rasputin Dreamweaver. Oh, I never owned this card. I still don't have one now. $336 US is a lot of money to pay, but he can do so much for you. He is a really weak card at 4/1. He is 1 blue, 1 white, and 4 other, but puts 7 counters on Rasputin when brought into play. You may remove a counter to prevent 1 damage or to add 1 generic mana to your mana pool. Play this ability as an interrupt, which is basically an instant nowadays, guys. Now, each turn during upkeep, if he is untapped, you get to put a counter back. He is a mini mana generating machine. He is fun. He is fun. I mean, I want to own this card. I want to have this one myself. And yes, he's an expensive card to get, but he's on the reserve list. He's not coming around anytime soon. And a card like this, people are going to pick it off right away. But the fact he hits the board and can give you mana is always a good thing to see. So way to go, Rasputin. I hope you are just beloved and used all the time. I don't know what to tell you guys about this card. I really like it. Now our next one is HalfDane. HalfDane is more of an old school guy I do remember facing off against. He's kind of like that doppelganger you love to hate. 1 white, 1 blue, 1 black, 1 generic. He's a 3/3 if there's nothing that he copies. But if he copies something during your upkeep, he acquires the power and toughness of a target creature other than HalfDane. So other than the 3/3 he takes control of something else. So a 4/4 doesn't seem very tough. There was clones and stuff back in the day, but it's okay because during your upkeep, you could keep switching him to something else, which is what clones and doppelgangers couldn't do. So for $70, roughly US for a near mint copy, he is a great deal to have. Now our next card, of course, is one of my favorites ever, and that is Hazazon Tamar from Legends. This guy, again, he's gone up in price. He's been sinking a little bit, but not nearly fast enough. Hazazon was just brutal back in the day. We didn't have a lot of ways of dealing with things like this late game. You would have used Wrath of Gods and balances, but you ran out. And when you look at him, you go, oh, I see why. Yes, he costs 7 mana. But on your next upkeep, after Hazazon is put into play, put star tokens into play where the star tokens are 1/1 Sand Warriors equal to the number of lands you control. Okay, and they were like, what, red, green, white warriors or whatever. They were just so cool. But it says here, it was interesting, if Hazazon leaves play, all Sand Warriors are removed from the game, which is different from things we'd see nowadays. He was an amazing card, okay? Love this guy. I still own a few copies of him. I had a whole bunch as a kid. I have a couple of near mint ones. He is one of those guys, I'm like, I love this card. He reminds me of Legends. I didn't get him in a pack, but I played against somebody who did, and I just went out and got this guy instantly because I enjoyed the card that much. And there'll be players who do get drawn to the old artwork, the old styles of cards like this, that just go, it's amazing to see. Now, our last card I'm going to share with you guys today is the one that, the Taco King likes to mention. Gwenda Linda Corsi. Not being put into Dominaria United, they're like, oh no, it's too racy, we're taking this one out. It's an interesting card. The idea of discarding things at random and doing it every turn to someone is pretty brutal. But she was a 4 casting cost 3/5. She actually isn't that weak either. 1 blue, 1 red, and 2 black mana for a 3/5. Target player discards 1 card from his or her hand at random. This power may only be used during your turn. We used to instill energy and do it multiple times in a turn. I get it, the artwork's kind of not appropriate by what they're trying to produce nowadays, but the card effect is good. And the fact they're not putting it in has drawn a lot of attention to the card, and more people are trying to get in on this and say, I got to get my copy now. I feel the same way. I do want to buy a copy of this card because I remember just being brutal to face off against when it was making me discard cards all the time. So there we have it. Legends for legends' sake. When you're looking at these amazing creature cards from back in the day, realize that most of these game effects don't come back around anymore. Wizards doesn't build cards this way. It's very fascinating to look back at some of these amazing powers that have been used and why these cards are on the reserve list today. Some of these prices are at a bargain basement value, but other cards are only slated to go higher as the years go by. Take this information for what you will, but in my opinion, there's a lot of cards here that are just underutilized, and I can't wait to get my hands on them. Thanks a lot for tuning in, everyone. Have a great day wherever you are in the world of Magic, and I'll see you all tomorrow. A reminder that these videos are made possible by the supporters of this channel, the amazing patrons who support me each and every day. Without these supporters, videos like this would not be possible. Thanks again. So many legends, so little time. I know you guys are probably thinking, you didn't put the Abyss, you didn't put Tabernacle. They're not a good enough deal. A lot of the legendary creatures are underpriced right now, special people. You guys are at the end, I'm letting you know it. Some of these cards should be a lot higher than they are, just because of the age of the card and how some players still like to use these cards in smaller, fun decks with old school vintage play. It's something to keep in mind. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Hope you're having an awesome day wherever you are. I'm going to go to the beach soon because it is pretty sunny outside. I'll see you guys soon.